there's no pause now. Everybody's on their phones all the time. So literally take your phone and just put do not disturb after a certain time so that you can actually reset your life.
And you have to just, like Corey said, like when you're self-aware, like you have to try to start being aware of yourself, not only like mentally but like physically, because people are very different. Like I know when I'm like stressed, it manifests like through my stomach, like the stomach chakra.
Yeah, there you go. That's your warning sign.
Right, that's my warning. Like if I start getting like icked out by food, if I start like not wanting to eat anything, or if I eat and it makes me nauseous immediately, or like stuff like that, like that's when I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I need to think about what's happening in my day-to-day life that's causing me this much stress.
Hey everyone, I'm Melanie Edney.
And I'm Kolbi-Rae.
And you're watching your favorite show on NCRF TV, Life Lessons.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So we have a question for you. Have you ever felt at work like you're questioning your skills, or like you're questioning your memory, or like you're too sensitive? Well, you're not alone. And guess what? You're not crazy. Your job is.
Facts.
We're diving in today. We're talking about it. Toxic work environments.
From red flags to constant toxicity,
micromanagement. We're talking about it all, and we're going to talk about it in the sense of how do you survive it, how do you get past it, and how do you find a healthy work situation for you, because we work for most of our life, right? So you don't want it to be toxic for the whole time, and we have the perfect guest to talk about this with.
We have today some of our NCRF team, NCRF meaning National College Resources Foundation. We have our Director of Internships and Careers, Miss Denise Parker.
What up?
And we have our Director of Strategic Partnerships, Mr. Corey Price.
What's up, y'all? What's up?
Yeah, so if you haven't noticed yet, it is a family affair, an NCRF family affair. We are getting you a window into the different departments that are available to you as a resource so that you can level up your life, and feel free to reach out to us at any time. But without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, everybody. Let's get into it in the sense of, let's start at the base.
Okay.
Let's start at the base.
This is going to be
Who has had, I need you both to think about one of your first jobs, whether it was a summer job, a internship, one of your first jobs that you were like, whoa, this is kind of a crazy, hitting my glasses off. This is kind of a crazy environment. Who's first?
Okay, let's see. I've had a few jobs in my day. I'm a little older than most of you guys. I don't look like it. Black don't crack. However,
Right.
one of my first jobs, I worked at what we called, like, the 99-cent store back then was called Pick and Save. You guys remember that? I don't know. So it was like a little place where you can just shop real cheap. And so those kind of jobs, people treat you like crap. The customers, the employees are just trying to survive. Everybody's getting paid minimum wage. So everything's getting ran through, picked through. So it's just the end of the day, you're just burnt and just strung out. So that was kind of like the introduction of like what work at the lowest pay scale would be like if you decided to like not level your life up. So
Right.
It was interesting, not fun, but very interesting.
Okay. I'm going to have to interject just really quickly, though, because I don't want people to think that all first jobs are horror stories, because I actually had a really fun first job experience.
Okay.
And it was in fast food. I worked at Wendy's.
Okay,
and
Wendy's.
It was like all the students from all the high schools, and we all worked together. Maybe that's what it was, because it was like all the kids working together, and we just had a lot of fun. But it's not always like that. But, sometimes. Corey, you had any crazy first job experiences?
I mean, my first job wasn't really too crazy, but it was an internship. I worked for a sports agency.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, it was a smaller sports agency, and it was like not during peak season, so there wasn't like as much like direction coming from like leadership and stuff like that. So we're kind of like doing a lot of like busy work. It wasn't necessarily like I was working hands-on with the athletes like I really wanted to. So it was just more, it was a far job, and I just wanted to be timely on time and try to figure out what way I can interject myself in any type of way. So
That's a good segue because sometimes your job, whatever job it is, whether it's your first, your next, your last, sometimes it's not what you thought you're not doing what you think that you would have been. Like when you interviewed for the position, or you're looking at the job posting, you're like, oh, this sounds like something I really want to do, and then you get there and it's not that at all. And I feel like that's always like the start of maybe debating if this is something that you really want to do or not. I know you said your first summer job was like that. Has anybody else had that experience?
Well, I heard something that Corey said. You said lack of direction. So I want to know, like, what are the red flags? You know, how do you discover that you're in, and not all, you know, not so great work environments or toxic work environments, but let's talk about how do you discover if you're in a toxic work environment or if you're in a work environment that is counter to your growth.
Yeah, I mean, I know at that time when I had that job, I was younger, and I guess the red flags I probably would have noticed was that like the main like administrative staff that's like kind of handling, coordinating, working with the athletes, they weren't primarily there. It was mostly like front office, like people that are just controlling like who's coming out the building and you know, stuff like that. So they would show face like here and there, but it wasn't like a they didn't have that. You could tell that wasn't that much investment into like the interns. It was like, oh, we have interns.
Well, I think that happens a lot with internships too, is that there are different companies that utilize interns in different ways. And, you know, internships are supposed to be for your growth. You're supposed to learn and gain experience. But a lot of people see internships as, you know, a way to just get some busy work in. And I think that's what you were saying, that you were, you know, just kind of doing some busy work, right?
Yeah, pretty much like 100%. Like just trying to write. It was like, oh, like, write an article about they already tell us like write an article about this, but it really had nothing to do with anything. But yeah,
I think one of my other first jobs after I left that was trying to figure out what I like to do, and I was a dancer at the time, so I wanted to use my skills somewhere. And I remember dancing at the church, and our dance director, she worked at the YMCA in South LA, aka South Central, and they don't call it that no more, but and she was like she was over the group fitness department. And so she said, come over, take class. And then I just started going over there so regularly that she said, hey, we're hiring teenagers to come and learn to be a fitness instructor. And you can do it. We're just going to do some choreography, and then you'll teach like a step aerobics class or some kind of cardio fitness. And it kind of opened up my eyes to like the fitness world. And it really changed my life. And I was working in nonprofit and got exposed to helping teenagers who are in at-risk situations. And then all of a sudden, the doors open to what I'm doing right now. I do both now. I still do fitness and health and wellness and work in nonprofit. So I think your job experience is never what you think. You think you're going to start here and I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to be a director, I'm going to do all these great things, but you're working the boom. And then you kind of love working the boom. Now you're working in sound departments and having your own mixing. It's just your experience is what it is. You just have to make the most of it. And sometimes the picture at the end is not what you expected, but it is that journey to like, oh, wow, I like what I'm doing now. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a paralegal. I like the work that I'm doing now because it's less stress and I can control my own life. So I think toxic environments first starts with the person. Like it really starts with you. It starts with like figuring out who you are, what you want to do, and whether you accept the position and want to continue to grow in that, or you want to move on.
And in both of your experience, you both said that you recognize some of the red flags and ways that a work environment could possibly not be the best. But in those good work environments that you've had, like, have you noticed there's like overlapping traits? Like there's not as much micromanagement, or there's freedom and comfortability to ask questions.
We didn't even really dive into the red flags. We didn't even talk about micromanagement. What is you are the director of internships and careers. Let's talk about it. What is micromanagement?
Micromanagement is when somebody is like literally every little thing you do has to be reported to somebody. And it's like the simple thing like you order pencils to like you sending an email. Who told you to do that? It's like overstepping. And then you have things that this is your role, but then you have other people looking at everything of how you do that role. But you were assigned to do this, work on this project, and then you have to get all these approvals. Now, it can help when you need more than one eyes, but then when you know your job and you know it well, and people are second guessing you, that's micromanaging. They're like, every little thing that you're doing, they're telling you, why are you doing that? What's going on? And you're sitting there like, dang, can I just do my job? And then they come back and say, yeah, you're doing a good job. They don't even tell you you're doing a good job. They're just wanting to overdo oversight because they don't know what to expect. Maybe they don't have good leaders on the other side really teaching you, letting you to have your own space to do these things. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody has a different experience of micromanagement. It's kind of like, have you been micromanaged before?
Yeah, from NCRF side, doing as a site coordinator previously, working in education. Sometimes they're like contractually within a school or school district, there can be a lot of hands in the pot, and it could be a power struggle, like trying to say these are our outcomes or whatever, or XYZ, or just teachers working with staff and they're implementing things. So working with power struggle dynamics and different situations always is kind of I noticed was the micromanaging was trying to have control over a situation. So yeah.
And how did you handle that?
I pretty much kind of showed as a site coordinator, I was still in a leadership role. So I was just trying to show that these programs could work if you would allow them to do what we think is going to work as well, or just trying to I guess from an individual standpoint with just different teachers and stuff like that, letting them know that there isn't we're trying to get the same outcomes, and it's not meeting them eye to eye and opening up those conversations and trying to not meet them with the same energy that they're trying to meet us with, trying to allow them to realize that we're on the same team. You're trying to get results. So yeah,
it is hard sometimes when you know that you could reach your full potential or you have so much more to give, but you're in an environment that's not allowing you to do that or not allowing you to really grow. For example, I worked at a startup and everybody knows a lot about startup culture, I'm sure. Sometimes, that's what we love about startup culture is that it's fast paced, small teams, it's exciting, but it's also stressful at times too. And so we happened to have a very small team, and I had a leader work directly under the CEO, but unfortunately, I don't think she really knew what she wanted out of my role necessarily. And furthermore, I think she probably wasn't completely sure where she wanted to take the company at that stage too, because everything's happening so fast and it's growing so quickly. And so I was brought in, seemingly to do one thing, and 2 weeks later, well, I need you to do this. So we just scrapped completely what I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. So I haven't had a chance to really build and show results from my work yet. Right. 2 weeks later, well, let's do this. Let's try this. Now we're scrapping what I just did for the past 2 weeks. And so I never really got a chance to really show my value because I didn't get a chance to really grow and see a project through. So I think that sometimes that's really unfortunate. I think that's what we also want people to know, that it's not always that you don't have the skills, to bring to the table. Sometimes you are just in a culture that's just not allowing you to grow. And so what would you say to those students, or not just students, I'm saying just anybody in the workforce, that feels like, do I have anything to offer? And at some point it takes an emotional toll on you.
All have something to offer. Us as first of all, it's your point of view and your perspective. It adds value to any company. And startups are very hard. There's a lot of companies out there that are reinventing themselves in this new economy and this virtual, hybrid, in-person, non-in-person. I don't think I'm going to have a brick and mortar kind of space. And you're sitting here as a person who's going into the workforce, into a new industry, a new field, a new role, or just transitioning where they laid off a lot of people and they're restructuring a company. You're looking at it from so many different perspectives. So it's as if a lot of companies are in this restart phase, and how they're going to look at the workforce, and a person coming in and saying, yeah, I think I want to go work for this person, but they don't still know what they're doing. They don't know what this new environment, especially from the top down, it's just like all this chaos. And people are just saying, I don't know if I'm going to have a job tomorrow because they're laying off so many people. So what do? You do the best you can for the role is the projects that are given to you. If you move on, you move on because that's the workflow. However, we all want jobs that we have growth. We all want jobs that we get appreciated and we have people who respect our value. And the only way we can do that is to really take the time to look at who are your ambassadors in the organization. Who are the ones who are going to advocate for you, stick up for you, say, hey, Mel, you did a great job. You know, I had some great ideas to also add to it, but I want you to share at the next meeting or something like that. Or even if you're stocking shelves, you know, somebody who can say, you know what, you work really hard. I think I want you to close the night instead of just always doing the shelf work. You know, like, hey, give you a different responsibility. If you can find those people in there who see who you are, see your worth, and not always trying to take you down, because a lot of people want to take you down because they don't know if the job is going to be there tomorrow, so they're trying to be the last person standing.
Right.
So,
and
that's
that
a
could take
work culture.
Right. And it could take a toll on you mentally. And I think that we need to probably talk about like tips and ways to recognize that your job is affecting your mental health and how to transition out of that, whether it's leaving the company or asking for a vacation or being like, I need to go part-time, or dealing with a work environment that you're kind of noticing is not the best for you. You're noticing red flags and you're like going home and you're like stressed and you're not hungry. Or has anybody been there?
Yeah, you're not hungry.
Where you're so stressed you don't eat.
What are the signs?
Well, first of all, let's take a pause on that mental health thing. So you have so many people who are affected by that just in general. Like I have a 12-year-old son. You know, when he talks about mental health, he literally talks about it from like, hey, I have anxiety or I'm frustrated or something like that. Those are some of the terms that you'll hear when you have, or your lack of sleep or not eating or something like that. Well, let's go back. There's been some very high, powerful, you know, names that have been in the news, like Twitch, who committed suicide a few years back. And I remember watching a post on IG, and he was literally on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and they were showing the background of like the person who was the producer coming onto like the set, talking to the staff, if anybody needs help, and then less than a year later he's gone. You don't know who's being affected by what you're saying because a lot of people suffer in what? Silence.
Yes. So
they don't want to bring there used to be like people going postal. That was a term. You come to work, you go postal, you know blow up the place, shootings, all kinds of stuff. Now people are really suffering in silence, and they're doing it in a way where it's like affecting them, and they come home like, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. I can't figure out if I'm going to have a job tomorrow. I don't know what my retirement's going to look like. These are all like issues in their head, and they're working and not going anywhere with, solving any questions. So mental health takes a strain on your work if you don't have like a supportive system to talk about things, not just from okay, you guys, here's your retirement, here's this, but like really checking in, like, how are you doing with this workload today? Are you tired?
Corey, you got something to say?
Yeah, I mean, and the questions about mental health and how to deal with it, just to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, like she was saying, also, how do you know that your job is taking a toll on your mental health? Like, how do you notice that too?
Yeah, like, I mean, I think, like, how to notice it is, one is being like self-aware of yourself, which is easier said than done. I personally become more self-aware through like meditation. I spent like a lot of hours meditating, and when you sit in silence, you get to know yourself more than ever. So that definitely was like a game changer for me personally. Because once you have self like awareness, self actualization, you have the ability to change what you're doing. If you continue to do the same thing over and over again, they say that's a It's the definition of insanity, right? So, but if you, some
That's
people,
good.
sometimes their awareness isn't there, so that you don't even know that you're doing what you're doing to essentially like continue to like hit your head continuously, and it makes the situation worse. It's like if you're constantly bumping your head, that can turn into concussion. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like I like to look at from that. I like to look at you know, like everything works together. So it's your job is gonna definitely make you stressed, but if you look at it from a holistic standpoint, you got to do things for yourself that is gonna allow you to work through high stressful environments. That's gonna benefit you in those times. So like, you know, whether that's like making sure that you're taking in, like if it gets high and stressful, maybe it's like during the time, maybe it's taking a walking, you know, that helps clear a lot of people, that helps you think better. The time, maybe you need to just take the time at that specific time to, you sometimes it's just it's literally in moments that you feel this way. But if you gave yourself, you know, a little bit of time to like process and like take a walk, get away from the environment, that can help. I like to work out before going to work. I feel like that plays a big role in what I do and just in general how I feel. You know, so eating well, all these things I feel like play a role. Like it's holistic. Like all these things matter. So I feel like you gotta do things for yourself.
Yeah.
And knowing ways to like when things are like when you need to put it on do not disturb. Like have times where you're working and then have times where you literally put your phone on do not disturb. There has been a post about the old school phones where you pick up the phone with the cord and you dial it. There was no like pause. Like there's no pause now. Everybody's on their phones all the time. So literally take your phone and just put do not disturb after a certain time so that you can actually reset your life.
And you have to just, like Corey said, like when you're self-aware, like you have to try to start being aware of yourself, not only like mentally but like physically, because people are very different. Like I know when I'm like stressed, it manifests like through my stomach, like the stomach chakra.
Yeah, there you go. That's your warning sign.
Right, that's my warning. Like if I start getting like icked out by food, if I start like not wanting to eat anything, or if I eat and it makes me nauseous immediately, or like stuff like that, like that's when I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I need to think about what's happening in my day-to-day life that's causing me this much stress. And some people are like, they sleep. Some people are like, when they're stressed and they're not wanting to be in their environment, they like go home and they go to sleep immediately. Or like, you know, just it's a way to avoid. It's like an avoidance thing.
Yeah.
Some people just can't go to sleep. Some people stay up all night and just like watch TV or TikTok, like doom scroll. Like they do all these things to avoid. It's basically all avoidance. And I think that if you're starting to show these signs, then you need to start thinking what in your life is causing this. Because in this sector, like we're talking about when it's your job, but having that awareness for all things is good. And then you'll be able to know when it's your job, or it's your relationships, or it's other things, because it's really important. You have to look out for your mental health.
I say, and you have to spend time building a relationship with yourself to even get to that point. Because if you don't, like, you know, in avoidance, you can avoid yourself too. Like, I'm not trying to even go down that path for myself, or, you know, you have your comfort, 6 things you can comfort yourself with, but, you know, going down that path of getting to know yourself is a lifelong journey. But it's like, when you talk about what do you bring to the table, like you have like all these qualities and stuff about you that the more you understand that about yourself, I feel like it directly correlates with your success in life too, or your happiness. Everything it's all, you know, you'll know what you want or what you need to do, or what. So it's important to build that relationship.
And we're also talking about not just work, like the 9-to-5 work. There's students out there who are working.
You okay, Corey? You want some wine? Do we need water?
Water?
Are you okay?
Choked on my spit. That's all.
Choked on my spit. No, I feel you. It be your own spit sometimes.
No, for real.
No, but Denise was gonna make a good point.
No, I said this is not just about
being a
students. This is not just about work, 9-to-5 work, where we're all working and we're out of school or whatever. It is about students. That's their job too. to go to school, and they're in the four walls of their high school or wherever they're at, and they can't escape for 8 hours or 9 hours. They literally are there all day in a toxic environment. Most of the time, when I ask students, like, how do they feel about their high schools? Meh. They give me the meh. Like, I'm not feeling I'm ready to get out of here, graduate. So think about it. It's like they carry that same energy to the workplace when they go into work. Like, this is going to be just like that. I'm clocking into school, and I have people who are micromanaging me all the time, and there's no growth. It's just tasks, do tasks.
So that's the question I wanted to ask. Actually, a two-part question. One, sometimes you are getting a certain work environment or a certain mode, and so you think that that's just what the workforce is like, right? So if you haven't experienced a healthier work environment, you think, oh, that's just what it is, right? So that, like, trying to identify that, but then also, Corey, you talked about stress, right? And like her working in high stress work environments. How do you know the difference between if it's a high stress work environment or if it's an unhealthy work environment? Because we can all learn how to rise to the pressure of a high stress work environment, right? And sorry, my last question, if you guys can remember all of it. How do you know when to leave? If you need to leave.
I got a good one.
It's crazy because I'm thinking about people that are in other professions, like I'm thinking about, I have a lot of friends that are lawyers.
Oh yeah, very stressful job. Very stressful.
But it's interesting because if you decide to do a certain type of become a certain type of lawyer, it's gonna be way you're choosing to live that lifestyle to make a certain amount of dollars. So I guess I'm thinking about that, how much, what are you willing to, after, it's about knowing what you really want, like I said before, about knowing yourself, but what are you willing to sacrifice compared to for what you want, opposed to doing something that may benefit you more in other areas, and determining what are those, what is more important to you on that list of priorities, because every work environment is not going to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, you're right, and there are certain job, just in general, certain fields where that's the norm, where not sleeping and not eating is the norm, where working a million hours is the norm.
You have some people who actually have a preconceived conception, like, I really want to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I want to help people. I want to practice law. But then they get into the environment and they don't realize they're working 90-hour work weeks. And it is a dog-eat-dog world. It's not like you're watching television, it's Law and Order time. It is literally writing documents to actually rebuttal whatever the argument is. And then the final result is win or lose, okay? And every time you have a failure in any part of your job, you feel like, your skills are not being matched. This is not for me. I know a lot of people who work in corporate America who literally say, this is not it. I actually came in here with this idea, and this is not it. They're 45 or more or older, and they're saying, I'm going to leave and start my own company. I'm going to leave and go do some giving somewhere. I need to go figure it out. The most successful people, billionaires or whatever, they live on some island and they're doing yoga because they've been working that corporate life, or trying to make this lifestyle that they want. And it's not what it seems. And then look at other countries, how they look at work. I think America is the most stressed out nation as far as the work culture.
Oh, 100%.
We are overzealous in how we go about these dreams. And then every time you listen to somebody talk about their goals and they make a good living, like 6 figures plus, and then they're saying, I feel like I'm such a failure because I don't have this box checked and that thing done. And so many of us Black women have so many degrees and don't have equity in pay. So that's another toxic environment. And then when do you leave? When do you leave?
I think it's important with the list of priorities, because you said that you had friends that are in corporate America and they hate it, and I have friends that in corporate America and they love it, because they're like, I'm making good money and I am not that important.
And I'm not that important.
No, it's like I make good money, I'm not that important, and I can take all that extra time I have to do XYZ. But some people really want to like love their job and give back and do more. And like I think that like back to the self-awareness thing, like you have to think about what it is that you want to do and what your list of priorities are.
Your
because if you want to
values.
because a toxic work environment to somebody that's like, oh, I want to be like third in command, I want to make like a comfortable living, I don't want to be the most important person there, might find like a job that is requiring a lot of extra effort and a lot of extra meetings and micromanaging. Like they might find that to be stressful for them and toxic for them, but it might not be toxic for somebody that's like, this is my dream job.
But you also got to ask the question, are you toxic coming into the workplace?
Well, I guess that's a good question too.
That is a good
like,
question.
like you have some people who go in there and really are spicy every time they go into a job. They're
Right.
like, why are you always starting a rumor in the rumor mill? Why are you always over here instigating? Why are you always complaining, showing up late,
Right.
or not, you're barely doing your work.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
The bare minimum.
So it's
And
the
then you
reverse.
right.
We saying it's not you, it's your job, but no, it's not your job, it is you in some cases.
Yeah,
right?
and then your job is a reflection on how you perform.
And like that could be in retaliation to how you feel about your job. Like if you're noticing that you're like
it's
you,
energy.
right? Like if you are like underperforming in your job, then you need to think, maybe I actually don't want to be here. And like that's when
your
and
time is
that's
to
to
what?
leave. And like and I know it's
Get
hard.
out.
It's hard to leave jobs now. It really is. Like, especially in like everything that we're dealing with in the world. Like it's hard. It's
But
hard to leave a
sometimes
job,
you have to work those jobs that you don't like to go after something you love. You can still work that job and then have a passion on the side. You are not going to be the number one top, movie director, producer overnight. You still got to work a 9 to 5 to pay for the bills.
So I have a crazy story. So I agree. When you ask when to leave, like everybody has like a little internal voice that you really have, you're really ambitious about what you really want to do, but sometimes that's scary. And like especially if you're trying to start your own business or something like that, where it's like no guarantees, and like the aspect of having a job to kind of fund that vision. But depending, I have to bring the story up because it's depending on the season you are in your life. If you want to do those types of things, you have the ability to do it. Like there's always an opportunity to do it. I have a friend that he's working a 6-figure job at AT&T, and it was a comfortable situation, but he actually he quit his job and he went all in on his business earlier. He's able to do it in a season where he was able to move back with his parents, allowing him to chase that for the time being. But fast forward, his company's like it's pretty big now. It's big. It's really big. So he listened to that inner voice that told him to leave that plus 6-figure situation to go pursue, and now he literally him and as well as some other friends like created a business that they're able to work every day for and do it. But you gotta like sometimes you gotta, when you're finding yourself, and you find your courage, whether it's going the route of using that job to fund your passion or going all in. If you have that mindset's about attacking it and stepping on a ledge that will help you find yourself. If that's your inner voice telling you to go down that route from like an entrepreneur standpoint.
I mean, we didn't even mention the fact that you are an entrepreneur as well, Corey. Yeah. So, I mean, can you speak to a little bit of the culture of building a business from scratch? I think, that might be something to...
Yeah, no, definitely. It's really, going into business, like I said, it's scary because you're betting on yourself, and you're in all the money that you're investing falls back on you, and you're going to be very.
Hold on. We can't say that you're an entrepreneur without plugging your business. Foundation Clothing. Denise has a hat on right now.
That's one of your designs too.
Yeah. And you're wearing one of your designs as well.
We partner with NCRF to do the Expo merch. So you see the Expo merch foundation was a hand in it. But it's you make investments of like I design clothes. If you do a full line, you can spend upwards to $10,000-$15,000 in a line. So you're on those upfront costs. You have to believe in your vision and your passion. And it's not going to happen overnight, but really the main thing, I keep the Nipsey quote in my head, is the main thing we didn't do is we didn't quit. and being persistent.
Yeah.
And having a strategic vision, everything's possible.
I love that.
Yeah. I like that too, because a lot of people don't realize that having those stepping stones with your companies that you're working for to actually fund your passion and your drive, it's going to actually build your skills up. It's going to make you appreciate. But guess what? In America and all over the world, every company started with an idea. It started small. It might have started in a room like this where you're just plugging around, shooting around ideas, and now you have a whole production team and a show going on. It literally start with just an idea. There is nothing new underneath the sun. So when you go to a company, think about it like, do I want to own something this grand, this big? I want to learn from the grassroots. If I want to be a CEO or my own boss, I need to learn exactly how the people who work on the ground floor work, all the way from the mid-level to the senior level to the executive level. I want to learn every aspect of the company because I want to do it well. Don't just go into the job like, I hate this job. If you work at the Home Depot or the Chick-fil-A and you're saying, but you're also working for the biggest brands in the world that are recognized. So you can actually level up in companies if you take advantage of the opportunities, as opposed to saying, I hate my job. You might hate the people within the workforce because they hate their lives and they're coming into the job. That could be the effect. Or it could just be the company of how you're positioned in the company. Maybe your skills are not being recognized and you need to repurpose yourself. So first you got to look at all the aspects of the company and see where you can be matched with your value. And then from there, if you can't create those relationships from there and try to level yourself up or gain a more expertise in your actual role, then maybe it is time for you to leave and diverse yourself somewhere else.
I think that's important. I think that's the recognizing. I feel like we've said this on many other episodes. Like, I feel like we always talk about self-awareness. We always talk about assessing a situation and seeing where you fit. Like, I think those are common themes that help you in life and in the workforce specifically. And I think that that's going to help everybody in whatever situation that they're going into with a work environment. And you're right. Like, sometimes it's not the environment. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it is the environment. But it's about being able to recognize and seeing your value is what you said. And I think that is like really important for people to understand, is like seeing your value and then going for it, whether it's in that company or somewhere else. It's important. And also being balanced, there's always balance with everything. And
well, let's talk about it. Balance. So, I mean, you could build your perfect work environment, whether it was working for yourself or working for a company. What does that look like?
Depends where you live first.
Oh, right.
We're in LA.
Okay, wait.
So us LA and New Yorkers.
All right. Work-life balance is...
You on a rumor.
Right. Work-life balance looks different for everyone, but Denise, I really want you to say it because you're a mom.
I know.
And work-life balance is... Moms don't get enough time off. So what does work-life balance look like for you? Right. Specifically, I want to know what it looks like for you.
First of all, I check in with my son all the time. I see what he needs, what he wants to do to be a part of my environment, what I call work. He knows I work all the time. Like, he said, Mom, you're always busy, you're working, but he doesn't say it in a negative way. He respects it. So because I get him involved in my work, he sometimes gets to travel with us and see the aspect of the grand of what we're building as a whole. So he gets to see it and respect it. And at the same time, he's excited because we have a great platform where we're helping others, and he's excited about our STEAM and our sports and all these different things that we're doing. So my work-life balance is involving him, and I've been bringing him since day one, since he was just right here to my to my work environment, because I've always had a good support staff. You got to have a village, and there's a lot of more working moms and dads out there who are really happy about working and being a parent. There's so many celebrities out there who are having babies. Rihanna just announced her third pregnancy.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that until I saw it.
And she's like, happy, it's, and she invites, as an entrepreneur, she's an entrepreneur. She's sharing her work-life balance with her kids. So, and Beyonce got her daughter on, it's like, it's now the norm. The last Oscars, I noticed there was so many people coming up with their kids announcing like, thank you, and I just want my son and my daughter, I just, it's all about that work-life balance right here. It's incorporating it, because we have to be able to lead by example, and having the experience of working and living. This is our life. This is our norm. We're working all the time. It's 24/7 because our phones, virtual, everything is, I'm in a Zoom meeting all the time. I come home, but I make sure dinner is cooked. I make sure he's on school on time. He gets breakfast the whole night. And he knows anything he wants to do, as long as he's taking care of his business, he gonna do it.
Yeah.
His job is what? School. And following directions and being a nice kid and kind and all that great stuff, and living his best life as a kid, and but the balance is for me to recognize when he's doing so well that I want to go the extra mile.
I love that.
Yeah.
Corey, what about you? What does your perfect work environment look like?
Perfect work environment. I guess I haven't thought about this.
Because you got one.
We don't really
Yeah.
we don't really think about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I do love my current job. Like, being in business development, you have the ability technically to make your own like schedule. It's really kind of pent up on you, but you can work from anywhere, and I guess it gives me a lot of flexibility as far as like how I like to personally attack whatever, like whatever, how I want to attack my job in particular. So I guess I do cherish my flexibility within that. And then what we do is we're like legitimately like changing lives, changing communities and stuff like that. So being able to do purposeful work and do it with people that enjoy doing purposeful work is definitely a shining star on stuff that we do. And we get a chance to travel a little bit, so like
a little bit,
a lot of it.
It's crazy though. I'm like jealous of the people that work at like those like Google campuses. They got like free food and stuff like that. I guess that would be kind of cool, but
there's people that are jealous of you because you get
yeah.
to go, and
'cause
we
you
don't
get to
just
travel
travel. We go to all the major markets, because I know people who travel for work, but they're always like
In
somewhere in the
somewhere
middle of nowhere.
right,
Yes.
Right.
So that's definitely a
rural
plus.
communities trying to build
Kolbi-Rae,
brand.
you got anything to add? Perfect work environment?
I think
Or what do
that
you love about your work environment?
I think that like being able to travel for work is such a blessing. I feel like people don't people are always like, Kolbi-Rae, you're never home, and I'm like, and gladly, like I love where I live. I love New York. I love being there. I love California. I love being here, but like also just being able to see other places and experience new kids. Like every kid, and we talk about it all the time. Like the kids in each market are so different, and it's so
and it's a blessing.
right,
to
and
meet
it's
them.
it's such a blessing to just have your mind be open to all the many different types of people. And I always said like when I was going to college and continuing to go to school and like working, and I always said that I prefer to be happy over like money, like, and that's always just been my thing. So like this is kind of the perfect work environment, because like I do have some flexibility, like when we're not traveling, I do have some flexibility, and like I could work at night if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm a night owl, so I do be working at night. y'all know I be on like I get on the meeting and you're like, is it 9 o'clock there? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Because I'm like that, like having that flexibility is nice, and like just being able to travel and help people, and be, like he said, be around other people that like to help people is like my perfect work environment. I really I have no notes.
Yeah,
And I think
some things that I would add.
go ahead.
Some things that I would add to that is I work all the time, but I'm okay working all the time because, like Corey said, I feel like I'm doing purpose-driven work and I feel fulfilled in my work. So I think when we talk about different workplace cultures and whatnot, I think really, after learning from all of you, it's really not, that you work too much or you do this or you do that.
You have to love what you do.
Loving what you do, and you'll continue to do it. But other things that I love about my work environment is feeling like my voice is heard, feeling like I have a voice. And I feel like that goes so far. Like I can say something in a meeting and it's actually valued, whether or not it's the right thing or whether or not it's going to be the course of action we take. I feel like people are listening and like people care what I have to say, and that goes a long way for me.
I think that's for all of our roles. Every last one of us who work in this organization, our voices are really heard because our fearless leader, Dr. Teresa Price, she really anticipates us to be her heartbeat and her arms and her legs and her eyes and all the body parts that make this company a whole. And it's very rare to find that in a company. We work to serve the community. We work to serve the educational community. We're trying to help the students. We're trying to help the educators. And a lot of our educators we work with, they look at us and we're always like, this is stressful, but we're not stressed. We're like,
that's a good one. It's stressful, but we're not stressed.
We're like, this ain't our first rodeo. And everybody with their heads all cut off. And we're like, sitting there like, we got this. We got just send us your kids. We got it. Because the way we handle it, the way we vibe out, we enjoy hanging out with each other. Not rare. How many times you get to say you work with people you like to hang out with? Like,
it's very rare.
And you can just be in the room and know that they got you. Like, I know I got to feed my girl. Or I know she's having a tough time. And
it really is a family.
It is. It's a family feeling. It's a family environment. The culture is, and that's very rare. And we're going to also have a talk about culture in the workplace coming up on May 27th, and we're going to have a wonderful Andrew Center who's going to be doing a presentation for how to land. Gotta plug it.
She plugged it.
How to land my dream job.
We gotta release it. Oh God.
Better do it.
Right. Okay, so we have to wrap up, but the last thing that we like to do is we like to do a little round table and just give a piece of advice to
speak a word.
Speak a word. Anything that you can say that can motivate, someone who may feel kind of down and out at their job, feel like, just give them some words of motivation and encouragement.
Man,
and quickly though. But go ahead.
I think perspective is a thing that you can control in a sense. Like, okay, the situation may not be ideal in the moment. What can you garnish from the situation currently? And then also, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. You never know. You never know the path life has for you once you put yourself out there. So put yourself out there and bet on yourself, believe in yourself, and prepare yourself when you do it, and good things will come. So just have that, be optimistic when you do these things. You got to think, you got to envision yourself in the new season of your life that you're going to be in. So see it and see it through.
To piggyback on what Corey says, it's not just about perspective. It's also about don't give up, even if it's hard. That's the challenge, is to overcome anything that you feel that's thrown in your way. If you feel like you can overcome it and do it with a smile on your face and just your heart is just full and you just love just to see the final piece, then working is for you. A lot of people don't realize that they don't feel like working's for them. They don't want to work. So knowing that first, that you want to see something through, the full thing through, and you don't want to give up, that is very important, because a lot of people, for companies, you're trying to solve a problem. You're trying to, bring value to the company in some form or fashion. And you're serving the community in, whether it's a single person or a whole environment of a community, you're still serving. And my final piece is just to be spiritually grounded somewhere. Don't let anything waver you. Have some sense of root somewhere, some groundness. So when you walk into a room that doesn't look like you, whether it's not enough men or women or the people that, make up your demographic, then you really know who you are inside, and nothing will shake you, especially when you feel like your skills are being challenged. So really know yourself, have that spiritual and that family root inside of you.
Kolbi-Rae, you got anything to add to that?
I feel like they always.
I know they've been
Every time we do an episode, you're like, you got something to say? And I'm like, nah.
I don't think you got to that.
I'm like, period.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I would say is that you're gonna be all right. Just know that you're gonna be all right.
You are going to be all right.
You're gonna be all right.
What do they
Be
say?
all
You
right.
survived 100% of your struggles before this, or however they
Come
put
on.
it. What's
Come
that?
on,
What's that quote?
you miss 100% of
The shots you don't take.
No. I'm saying like you survived 100% of the challenges that you've faced in your life so far.
Yeah. 'Cause
So
you've already
You're
survived
already batting 100.
Yeah,
So
because you're here. You're here, right?
them. You're already here.
so keep that energy. Keep batting 100, I guess.
Keep batting
Yeah.
100.
Well, on that note, thank you both so much for joining us. This has been a very insightful and inspiring conversation for me. So I hope that has also been that for our guests. And anything else you want to say?
No, everybody check in on yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Understand your priorities, understand your purpose, and you'll be all right.
Yes, and you are not crazy.
Your job is.
Your job is. Thank you for watching Life Lessons on NCRF TV, and we will see you next time. As usual, comment. Let us know if there's anything you'd like to talk about.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Subscribe. Like,
Send to your homies, your family,
share.
your boo
Hit
thing,
the reminder bell too.
everything.
Donate
Yes, donate to NCRF.
All the stuff.
all the best.